What's up, everyone? Welcome back to King Anime Review, and for this video I'll be explaining the character of Sasuke Uchiha, who is the best written, most well-developed character in all of fiction. Now I'm going to start off by talking about what makes a character a great character, and there are three essential things that makes a character great. Number one is if that character have great character development, and character development is basically their thought process changing over time, because the definition of the word character is the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual, meaning it comes from your brain, it comes from inside, it's internal. Therefore, you need to show the character's thought process changing over time, and that's very easy to do for Sasuke. Number two, the character needs to be written in a realistic and logical way. And number three, the character needs to have depth and detail. Now, I'm going to start off by talking about Sasuke's backstory, and I'm going to prove how he has all three of these things as I explain his character. So starting off with his backstory, he grew up as basically a normal kid in a Hidden Leaf village. He had a loving, supporting family and all of that. But all of that changed when his treacherous older brothers, Itachi Uchiha, slaughtered their entire family, leaving Sasuke the only one alive, basically leaving him as an orphan. And Itachi basically pushed him towards vengeance, because after he slaughtered his entire family, Itachi told Sasuke, when you get the same eyes as me, come back and face me. So he was basically encouraging Sasuke to come back and try to fight him. So Itachi essentially pushed Sasuke down that path of vengeance. And yeah, so at the start of the story, at the start of the series, Sasuke joined Team 7, and Kakashi basically asked Team 7, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, what are their likes, their dislikes, and their goals and stuff like that. And Sasuke said he doesn't really like anything in particular, and he dislikes a lot of things, but he doesn't really like anything in particular. And he said what he have is not really a dream, because he will make it a reality, and that's to restore his clan by destroying a certain someone. So from the start of the story, his goal was pretty much vengeance, to avenge the Uchiha clan by killing Itachi Uchiha. Now, this shows that Sasuke was a very self-centered character at the start of the story. And self-centered pretty much means like he was basically concerned with his own affairs, and he was more, basically just focused on himself. He literally said he basically is nothing in particular that he likes. So he's really just focused on avenging his family, and he was self-centered. Now, this changed throughout the course of part 1 Naruto, where we see that Sasuke went from being a self-centered character to a self-sacrificial character, to a character who's willing to sacrifice his own life and his own goals in order to protect someone else. One of the first instances that we got of this is when, in the Land of the Waves arc, he basically, saved. Now, it was his mission to protect Tazuna and stuff, but, he handled those two Chunin like it wasn't nothing. But we seen that he was willing to sacrifice himself to help his friend, which was Naruto, in the Haku fight. And so Naruto, he didn't necessarily have to protect Naruto, but he risked his life to protect Naruto, because the mission was he was supposed to be protecting Tazuna. Anyways, he risked his life to protect Naruto in the Haku fight, and he told Naruto, don't let your dreams die. And all of that happened after, he started to build a bond with Naruto, because at the start of the story, Naruto and Sasuke didn't really like each other. Naruto was kind of jealous of Sasuke, and he kind of looked up to him because Sasuke, had the things that he wanted. He was the cool kid in the academy. He was the popular kid. He was very skilled at ninjutsu, and he was very skilled. He was the top of his class in the academy. And Naruto was kind of jealous of him and stuff, so Naruto didn't really like Sasuke. Naruto looked up to him, but at the same time, he was kind of jealous of him. And Sasuke, on the other hand, he thought Naruto was kind of like a burden. And he was basically telling Naruto when they joined Team 7, basically, don't hold me back, don't get in the way and stuff like that. Kind of making fun of him. He thought he was like just a knucklehead, a goofball type of thing. So he kind of looked down on Naruto. They didn't really like each other at the start of the story. But in the Land of the Waves arc, they started to develop a brotherly bond where they start to actually care about each other. They, spend time kind of fighting, arguing over, competing with each other to see who can eat the most food. And they end up doing the tree climbing training. They ended up accomplishing that together, spending all night training together to climb up the tree with their chakra control and all that. So their brotherly bond started to grow in the Land of the Waves arc. And it culminated with Sasuke getting some massive character development, going from being a self-centered character who said that he basically doesn't really like anything in particular, and the only thing he really cared about was avenging his family. That's pretty much what he said. And he went from being a self-centered character focus on only his goal, his affairs, to being someone who's willing to sacrifice his goal and to sacrifice himself in order to protect his friend, Naruto. Now, also, we seen him do more things like that later on in part 1 Naruto, where, for example, he basically told Naruto that, hey, I'm going to need you, take care of Sakura, and, I'm going to fight him, and I don't want to see any of my comrades falling before me again. He gave that little speech to Naruto. He told Naruto to, save Sakura, and he doesn't want to see any of his comrades falling right before him again, and he was going to take on Gaara, even if it meant he was going to die. So that was another instance where he was willing to sacrifice his life to protect Naruto and Sakura. He did this multiple times throughout part 1 Naruto. That's very clear character development, going from being self-centered to self-sacrificial. Now, also, in part 1 Naruto, not only did he have that great character development, he also has some great character development in his battle against Naruto in part 1 Naruto, when he basically put on his headband, whereas previously when they fought on a rooftop at a hospital, he was unwilling to put on his headband because he basically looked down on Naruto and he was very cocky. But when they fought in the Valley of the End for the first time, he told Naruto, yeah, I'm going to basically acknowledge your power, and, he put on the headband. And that was him. That shows how he went from being a cocky character to a more modest character. Now, he was still very confident in his abilities, but he was a lot more modest than he was at the rooftop battle, where he was very, very, very cocky. So he went from being a cocky character to being a more modest character who was still confident. So those are instances of Sasuke getting fantastic character development in part 1 Naruto. And also, but not only that stuff, you also got the detail and depth in this character and the logical and realistic writing. Because in part 1 Naruto, Sasuke was a very conflicted character. I already talked about how he went from being a character who was very self-centered to being a sacrificial character. But while he did make that change, he was still very conflicted, because essentially he developed two goals in part 1 Naruto. The first goal he developed after Itachi slaughtered his family, which was the goal to avenge his family. That was his first goal. But then as he started to grow a bond in a relationship with Team 7, he started to view Team 7 as his own family, which he said in his final battle against Naruto at the end of, the original Naruto manga / towards the end of Shippuden. He basically said he started to see Team 7 as his family. So, and then also you can look at what he did in the Gaara fight, the stuff that he said in the Gaara fight. He basically said he doesn't want to lose anyone close to him again, or he doesn't want to see any of his comrades falling right before him again. So he started to view Team 7 as his family. So this is a very logical change and a very logical confliction in Sasuke's character, because his first goal was, the reasoning for his first goal was because he wanted to avenge his family. Then he developed the second goal to protect, his friends and stuff, to protect his allies, Naruto and Sakura specifically. That started to be his second goal in Shippuden. In part 1 Naruto. And you can see the reasoning for that, because he started to see them as his own family. So, and he didn't want to experience that loss again. So that's very logical confliction. Sasuke was conflicted at that point between two goals. And basically you can see that at some points in part 1 Naruto, he was actually prioritizing what was his second goal of, protecting his comrades. He started to prioritize that goal at certain points in part 1 Naruto. Like when he sacrificed himself to protect Naruto in a Haku fight, he told Naruto, don't let your dream die. So he was willing to sacrifice his dream to protect Naruto and to protect Naruto's dream, pretty much. And then also, like I said, in the Gaara fight, and he was willing to sacrifice himself to protect Sakura and Naruto. Now, moving on to basically, that whole confliction, all of that stuff was basically, that culminated in the final arc of the original Naruto, or part 1 Naruto pre-time skip, where we had the Sasuke retrieval arc, and he had to prioritize one of those goals. He had to make a decision. Kakashi tried to encourage him to forget about vengeance, and Kakashi basically told him, hey, I lost people in the past too, but at least we have new friends, new comrades to help fill the void, talking about Naruto and Sakura. And you could see that Sasuke was starting to contemplate whether he should stay in the village or not. Now, his only reason for leaving the village was a very logical reason. He knew that he couldn't achieve his first goal, which was to avenge his family. He knew he couldn't achieve that by staying in the Hidden Leaf Village. He had already tried everything he could. He thought if he just stayed in the Hidden Leaf Village and learned ninjutsu and, trained and learned, how to become and to get strong. He thought he could get stronger in the Hidden Leaf Village. And he thought he could get strong enough to beat Itachi. But when Itachi came back, and beat him up when he was a kid in part 1 Naruto, Sasuke realized that all of that training, even training with Kakashi, Sasuke learned the Chidori and all of that, and it was all useless against Itachi. So he realized that him staying in the Hidden Leaf Village and trying to learn ninjutsu wasn't enough. Also, like, it wasn't enough to get him to the point where he could achieve his first goal of avenging his family by killing Itachi. But not only that, he also seen how fast Naruto grew and how much stronger Naruto got from training with the Sannin. And he seen how like he seen Naruto in a Gaara fight, and he also started to get a little bit jealous of Naruto as well. So that also kind of pushed him, you know, closer to deciding to, you know, go train with Orochimaru. That pushed him closer to making that decision. Now, then we had, so after the Kakashi talk, so first he had a little fight with Naruto on a rooftop at the hospital. He thought he beat Naruto, but he ended up seeing that Naruto did more damage to one of them water pillars. And then, so he had to talk with Kakashi, and then he had a talk with the Sound 4, and basically Tayuya, whatever her name is, she told Sasuke, basically, have you forgotten about Itachi? And she basically said that, she was basically telling him that you're not going to get strong enough to defeat Itachi if you just stay here in this village. It's pretty much what she was telling him. Sasuke decided to leave the village and to go train with Orochimaru. Then we move on to Shippuden. So Sasuke beat Naruto in the final valley in part 1 Naruto, and then we move on to Shippuden. Now in Shippuden, Sasuke basically started to prioritize his original goal that he had at the start of Naruto, which was to avenge his family by killing Itachi. And so he was willing to do anything he could to achieve that goal. So he was kind of back to being a somewhat self-centered character. He was kind of back to being that. Now, so his goal was vengeance at this point, and he was willing to do whatever it took to achieve this goal. So he went from wanting to kill his enemies, which was just Itachi / the Hidden Leaf Village, to basically being willing to kill his friends in Shippuden. Now, that's the big development that he had in Shippuden, going from the start of Shippuden all the way until the 5 Kage Summit. We seen that Sasuke said multiple times in Shippuden that it's only one guy he wants to kill. It's only one man he wants to kill, and that was Itachi Uchiha. Once he finally killed Itachi, and then he learned the truth about the Uchiha massacre, the fact that the Hidden Leaf Village is the ones who basically told Itachi to slaughter the family and stuff. And once he learned all of that, he redirected his hatred to the Hidden Leaf Village, and his vengeance he redirected it to the Hidden Leaf Village. Now, Sasuke, you got to remember, he wanted vengeance. Therefore, he wanted to get payback is essentially what he wanted. Now, the Hidden Leaf Village, basically, they encouraged Itachi to slaughter his entire family. Now, I already got a whole video talking about Itachi. Itachi obviously made the wrong choice. He didn't have to do that. However, that's the choice that Itachi ended up making. He slaughtered his entire family, including women, children, men, women, and children. So he slaughtered their entire family, the Uchiha clan. So Sasuke, and by the way, some of the kids that was killed and stuff like that, obviously they had nothing to do with the plan to, you know, the Uchiha's plans. So Sasuke thought it was fair for him to basically destroy the entire Hidden Leaf Village. Not just kill the elders and stuff, but destroy the entire Hidden Leaf Village, because the Hidden Leaf Village destroyed his entire family, including the innocent members of his family who had nothing to do with the Uchiha's plans, you know, the kids and stuff. So Sasuke wanted to get vengeance completely. Now, so that's what happened. So he went from, you know, early Shippuden, he just wanted to kill Itachi because he thought Itachi was basically the only one responsible for slaughtering the clan. But then once he learned the truth, he decided to direct his hatred at the Hidden Leaf Village, who were the main ones responsible. They were the ones primarily responsible for the Uchiha being massacred, because they're the ones who ordered Itachi to do it. So he shifted his vengeance towards them. And then you can see, like, in the 5 Kage Summit, he started to go down such a dark path where he was willing to basically even kill his own comrades in order to achieve his goals. He was willing to kill anyone who got in his way. And you can see this character development as well, because Sasuke, he went from thinking of basically the Team Taka that he formed, he started to think of them as his own family as well, just like he thought of Team 7. Because we seen in the Killer Bee fight, when they were sacrificing their lives to protect Sasuke, he decided to basically do everything he could to protect them as well, which is that's when he unlocked Amaterasu, because Connie was in danger. He unlocked Amaterasu. Instead of leaving her behind, he basically decided to stay in that very dangerous battle in order to save Karin, because he started to view her as a member of his own family. And we can see, like, he's seen a picture of Team 7 in his mind when he was thinking about the Taka, and when he decided to save Karin, he pictured Team 7 in his mind, and then he decided to save Karin. So he was willing to, save his comrades, and he actually cared a lot about his comrades, the Taka, and he started to see them as his own family as well, just like how he saw Team 7 as his own family. So that's what happened with that. But then we can see, like, he started to get more evil in the 5 Kage Summit, and you can see the character development there, where he was willing to kill Karin in order to achieve his goal of, basically avenging his clan. So then we get to the war arc. Now, the war arc is where Sasuke got the bulk of his character development. He was ready to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village. And basically at the start of the war, he was ready to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village to avenge his entire family. But all of that changed when he seen Itachi. And he seen Itachi running through the forest, and he started to question things. Like, why is Itachi here? And stuff like that. These are logical questions. Realistic and logical questions. So once he saw Itachi, he wanted to get answers, because this was his first time seeing Itachi since he learned the truth about Itachi. Because he learned the truth about Itachi when Itachi died. After Itachi died originally. But when he seen Itachi was reanimated, he wanted to get answers from Itachi, and basically confirm everything that he heard. He had a lot of questions, because this was the first time he was talking to Itachi, the first time he seen Itachi since he found out the truth about Itachi. So all of that is logical. Now in the war arc, so after he fought alongside Itachi, defeated Kabuto, and questioned Itachi and stuff like that, he then, after Itachi, after the reanimation was undone, Sasuke then had more questions that Itachi couldn't answer. And basically his questions at that point was, what is a shinobi and what is a village? Because, Itachi was wondering, like, why would Itachi sacrifice his own family to protect the village? And so then he thought the only people he could get these answers from was the Kage, the previous Kage. So he decided to have the previous Hokage reanimated. And once he got them reanimated, he questioned them about what is a village and what is a shinobi. Hashirama explained to him what the village is, which is basically, he viewed it as basically a framework for peace, and that's why it's so important to him and stuff like that. And what is a shinobi? So after he learned that stuff from Hashirama and the Kage, he decided he got a massive amount of character development, where he went from being a self-centered, selfish character, pretty much, just wanting to achieve vengeance, just wanting to avenge his family, a very self-centered character. He went from that to being a completely selfless character in the war arc, after he learned about all of that stuff that he had questions about from Hashirama. So, and that caused him to basically change his goal. Now, some people thought Sasuke was changing his goal repeatedly throughout the story. No, he really didn't. Some people think when he decided to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village, when he made that his goal, they thought that was him changing his goal, when really it wasn't. The only time he changed his goal in the entire story of Naruto was in the war arc, when he decided to become Hokage. And his version of Hokage was basically a shadow Hokage, someone who would protect the village from the shadows. And so he had basically his goal. I'll explain more of his goal later. But the only time he changed his goal was in the war. That was the only time he changed his goal in the original Naruto manga up until that point. Because, like, first of all, his goal to kill Itachi, that was just, his vengeance. So that was his goal of vengeance. That's why he wanted to kill Itachi, to achieve his goal of vengeance. Destroying the Hidden Leaf Village was also a part of his goal for vengeance. The only reason he wanted to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village is because he wanted to complete his goal of avenging his family. So he had one goal pretty much, which was to avenge his family throughout the entire story. Well, he kind of had a secondary goal in part 1, which I already explained, but that goal he kind of like forgot, like he kind of like prioritized his original goal at the start of Shippuden. Now, anyways, in the
fourth great ninja war,
his new goal was to become Hokage, essentially. Now, his version of Hokage is not necessarily the version of Hokage that Naruto was thinking about, because his version of Hokage is someone who would basically, who would create a peaceful future, and who would basically get rid of the, undo the problems that the previous Hokage caused, which he said He said he said the previous Hokage are the reason we have that we're in this current circumstance, the war. So he said he's gonna become Hokage and change the village. That's what he said when he appeared in front of the allied shinobi forces and joined forces with them. That's what he said. He said the previous Hokage are the reason for these circumstances pretty much. So I'm gonna become Hokage and change the village. Now, what he meant by that was he's gonna sever away the past and he's gonna become if need be, he will become the enemy of the entire world so that they can preserve peace. Because he was basically thinking like, the only reason why the allied shinobi forces are together, the only reason why they're united, the 5 great ninja nations are united, is because they had a common enemy. So he thought like at some point in the future, they may start to fight again. And if that happened, he will become the common enemy of the world. He will bear the hatred of the entire world in order to preserve peace in the world. But first, he wanted to sever away the past. And that stuff was hinted at in his battle against Obito. When Obito became the 10-tailed Jinchuriki, him and Naruto was fighting Obito. Sasuke basically said, you're not going to be the one who sever away the past. I am. So that whole thing was hinted at. It didn't come out of nowhere. It wasn't a 180. His goal of the Shadow Hokage, protecting the village from the shadows, and his goal for revolution, all of that stuff, not only did it make logical sense, and we seen how he got to that point, we seen how he got that character development after questioning Itachi and the Hokage, and we seen the character development behind that, going from being a self-centered character to being a super selfless character who's willing to sacrifice himself to protect other people, and who's willing to bear the hatred of the entire world just to preserve world peace. We seen all of that character development. We seen all of that hinted at as far as his goal for revolution. We seen that hinted at in his battle against Obito. So nothing came out of nowhere at the end of Naruto when it came to Sasuke's goal. None of that came out of nowhere. All of that stuff was hinted at. The stuff was hinted at and it was foreshadowed. So that was the case with that stuff. And then we have Sasuke in his final battle against Naruto. He had a goal for revolution. Essentially what his goal was he had a goal for revolution. Now, he said he wanted to become the Hokage, but what he meant by that was pretty much a revolutionary Hokage. His version of Hokage was someone who would protect the village from the shadows, even if he had to bear the hatred of the entire world and become the enemy of the entire world in order to preserve world peace. Very, very selfless, because he's willing to basically bear the hatred of the entire world and, become the enemy of the entire world in order to preserve world peace. And so, yeah, that was essentially his goal there. So he kind of wanted to create peace via, he kind of wanted to forcefully create world peace. Basically, because he had a cynical ideology that, the only reason why the world was united and the only reason why the 5 great ninja nations were united is because they had a common enemy. He had a cynical ideology, and he had good reasoning for a cynical ideology. Just look at the past. Look at all of the stuff that happened in the past. He was just looking at that stuff, and he had a good reasoning for his cynical ideology. But Naruto's ideology was he wanted to create a peaceful world by negotiation. So basically, at the end of their fight, Sasuke basically got on board with Naruto's plan, and he decided to help Naruto out, and to, instead he decided to disregard his plans for a revolution and his goal to create world peace via force. He decided to, disregard that stuff and to get on board with Naruto's plans, which was to create peace through negotiation. And that's Sasuke's character. That's essentially Sasuke's character throughout the series. Fantastic character development. He had the best character development in all of fiction. He was written in a fantastic way, a very realistic and logical way, and he had great detail and depth. So that's the character of Sasuke Uchiha, having a lot of conflict and being written in a very realistic and logical way. Now, the reason I say he's written in a very realistic and logical way is because conflict is realistic. It's very realistic. Most human beings are conflicted, most human beings are conflicted about something at some point in time in their life, and that's the same that's the same with Sasuke. He was conflicted about things in part 1 Naruto, which is great character writing because it makes him a more realistic character. So yeah, that's the case with that. He had a lot of detail and depth, and yeah, and the fact that he had conflict, like I said, that's realistic, and that makes him very relatable. And earlier in the video, I was talking about how a character needs internal thoughts. You need to show their internal thoughts changing throughout the course of the story in order to show that they have character development. Now, obviously, Sasuke had internal monologue throughout the course of the story, which if a character doesn't have internal monologue, you can't prove that they have character development because, as I said, the word character, the definition of the word character is the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. But Sasuke does have internal monologue. We can see his internal thoughts throughout the course of the story, and his internal thoughts shows his conflict, which is very realistic and relatable. Now, we can see this when he's talking to Kakashi after he had that rooftop battle against Naruto, and he was thinking, what should he do? Should he, leave the Hidden Leaf Village and go train with Orochimaru so that he could avenge his family by killing Itachi? Or should he stay in the Hidden Leaf Village with his friends and forget about vengeance like Kakashi was suggesting? And also, we could see his internal monologue and how it changed throughout the course of one battle. For example, in the Forest of Death, in the tuning exams, when he's fighting Orochimaru, at first he was very scared to fight Orochimaru and he wanted to just preserve his own life and run away. But then he was thinking, like, if he can't face Orochimaru, if he can't face that demon right in front of him, how could he ever face Itachi? Which turned him from being a kind of like a scary, a fearful, a scared guy to being a, braver character. So, yeah, that's an example of character development because just in the course of one battle, we can see his internal monologue, his thought process changing over time. So with that being said, yeah, that's what I got to say about the character of Sasuke Uchiha. That's Sasuke Uchiha's character explained. And if you guys like the video, please drop a like. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and clicking that channel notification bell to be notified on all of my future videos. And share the video all over the internet. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.